Good evening, or since I live in Colorado, yes, good evening. It is the American Dad 10, and I'm not gonna change my username, Google Plus. I am sorry. I've had this username ever since about 2010, so it's kind of like a special part of my life because this is when I started role playing. I was obsessed with Star Wars, and I had like this Star Wars OC who I do role play as with all these really random people. Then went through all these like different stages. Like one time I was like half Batman, half Star Wars OC, and all this other stuff. But anyways, it's been a really long time now that I think of it. That was ever since 2010, so that was 3 years ago. And in a few months, it's gonna be 4 years ago. So I'd like to talk about what it's like having gender problems, and this is because people have asked me, and I've seen a lot of confused people, and I'm here to explain it. But it's kind of a really deep topic, and it can go through a lot of spectrums. Like, you just don't have to be a transgender person to go through gender problems. You can be somebody who's on the genderqueer spectrum. You could even be somebody who's a gender, which is A plus gender, the way it's spelled, which is somebody who has no mental gender whatsoever that they think of. However, for more definitions, if you're somebody who's cisgendered, that means that you are familiar with the gender you're born with and you don't want to change whatsoever, and you've never had any single problems. So, just more definition stuff. So there is a big difference between someone who is cisgender and somebody who does have gender problems. Somebody who has gender problems always either sees themselves as the other gender or having no gender whatsoever. And it is a common thing. You know, there has to be at least one time in our life where we've worn clothes of the other gender or done something that would be considered by society as the other gender. For example, this is a society thing. I'm not necessarily saying this is somebody's own opinion or my own opinion. A good example would be if maybe a guy was wearing a bracelet with a princess on it and somebody would consider that feminine. So that would be an example of not necessarily gender issues, but more like gender expression. But as somebody who is up with all sorts of rights. I'm up with gay rights, I'm up with transgender rights, I'm up with all sorts of rights. I recently signed a petition that has to do with some states in the US where I live, and it's where some states are not allowing transgender or gay rights. And in Colorado and only a few other states, they do allow transgenders here. And I have met some, and they're some of the nicest people I've ever met. But they have told me about what it's like having gender problems. And being somebody myself who's that same way, it's kind of a hard thing to live with. There's this thing called dysphoria. And dysphoria, in definition, is depression. It's the pure epitome of depression. But for people with gender issues or transgenders, it's a really big thing. You get depressed by the way you're born, and depressed by the way your body looks. And I have had dysphoria before, and it's horrible. It's horrible to look in the mirror every day, or horrible to realize that you're not born in the body you're supposed to be. And it's really a hard thing to cope with. And everybody is going to get depressed. And for transgender people, it's just like normal depression for somebody. Just imagine if the normal depression was manifested in the idea of being born in the wrong body, not seeing yourself in the right body, and everything. But gender issues can start as early as the day you're born. It mostly starts out with thoughts, or you suddenly find yourself doing something that's considered what your non-born gender is. So, like, when I was younger, I was physically born a female, and, I found myself starting to ditch the kind of things that would be considered in the female gender to be normal. And that's when I started realizing that me, myself, has been having gender problems. I started to cross-dress and stuff. And see, it was kind of sad because every time I tried to wear something that wasn't my gender, the people at school would always question me or laugh. And, even, I've noticed that I've even looked like a male, even if I've had my long hair, as long as I wear a hat or keep it back. But now I realize I was not born the way I was supposed to be. And imagine if that was you, if you're going through something like that, if you're going through something where you feel huge depression over yourself because of something like gender, because you're not fitting the norms of what you think you should be. And somebody with gender issues would go through that. And that's the main idea of what gender issues are like. I believe I've defined some gender spectrum and what dysphoria is, and I'll be talking a lot more like this in a lot more videos. Now, I would like to go a little bit further into what a transgender person is. Transgender is an adjective, so the proper term is transgender person. So somebody who is a transgender person is a transgender person. They're not a transgender. That's an adjective. So let's go with the word transgender. Trans is an affix, or an affix, which means across. And a transgender person is somebody who goes across what they normally are to something different. Just like transitioning, and that's what the term is for somebody who goes into the other gender. What a transgender person is there's somebody who is born physically the gender that they don't want to be. So, and those are defined into two different kinds. There's an MTF and an FTM. So, male to female or female to male. So it'd be somebody who is born a male and they become a female, which would be an MTF, or somebody who's a female to male, which is somebody who's born a female and then becomes male. And that's the two different kinds of transgenders there are. And I'm pretty sure you guys have heard of transgenders before. And if you haven't, I'm going to define that right now. So transgenders go through a lot of dysphoria because they're not born the right way they're supposed to be. And some even commit suicide during puberty because it really is a hard thing. And I know, being somebody with gender issues myself, who has thought many times of transitioning, and I have tried before, but I got a lot of self-doubt and I got a lot of hate on Tumblr, and I just couldn't do it. So society was hurting me too much to go back to what I was physically. And I had been going through a lot of depression at the time, and I was like, maybe I just should do what the norms are. And so I did, but now I've gotten back to what I'm supposed to be. But you go through a lot, and especially being born in the wrong body. And what transitioning is a transgender person might go through things like hormone therapy, which is usually the first. It's where a male can get injected with estrogen and where a female can get injected with testosterone, which will give the traits that their desired gender will have. And also transitioning leads to other things such as surgery. And there's a lot of tools out there too for people who cannot get surgery fast or who might not ever be able to get surgery, such as females have these things called binders, and I own one, but I'm planning on getting more, and it's where, if you've ever heard of chest binding, it's pretty much self-explanatory. It's where they have a flat chest. As for males, they might start doing the exact opposite and wearing bras and such before they become a female. So that's the gist of what transitioning is. And I'd like to talk about pronouns. Pronouns can also lead to dysphoria because it's one of the biggest things that and with the name changing that the person's gonna get. So if you ever meet somebody who wants to be a desired gender, always call them by the pronouns of that desired gender. If a male desires to be a female, call him her, call him she. And that's the proper thing to do. It can prevent dysphoria. It can make them feel a lot better about themselves and a lot better about transitioning and coming out, and it's really a good thing to do. And exactly. So I believe that I have gone through everything I can to explain what gender problems are like. And thank you for watching. And also, you can subscribe to me if you'd like. It would be very nice if you would, but I'm going to be doing a lot of future videos that are talking about a lot of other things such as gender spectrum, a lot of things on the LGBT, and I also do play the pianos by ear, so I'm going to do a lot of piano by ear videos, which are mostly going to be from video games or anime, so yeah. But thank you very much for watching, and I will make a lot of future videos, and just talking in front of people and doing my little presentation things just makes me feel really good about myself, and it makes me feel like I'm going to have an audience who's going to listen, because I personally love presentations. So thank you guys, and I will see you whenever I make my next video. Thank you.